Hello there my friends, my name is Riskfish and today I'm bringing you a video on Warhammer 2 Total War. This video is part of a small series covering who some of the remaining lords for Warhammer 2 could be, and this time we are looking at the dwarves. As stated by CA at the start of the Warhammer Total War trilogy, the game is built off the 8th edition version of Warhammer Fantasy Battle for tabletop. The dwarves have one remaining lord in this edition called Thorek Ironbrow and two heroes, Josef Bugman and Grim Berluxen. CA have also stated their desire to bring all factions up to the same standard, and if we take the Lizard Men, the most developed faction so far, as that standard, that would mean 6 lords and 1 legendary hero for each race. The dwarves however only possess 5 legendary lords in their 8th edition roster, which suggests that at some point the dwarves will either have to upgrade one of their heroes to a lord position or seek a named character from outside 8th edition. In the past, as demonstrated by the Vampire Counts and Isabella von Castine, the former option seems far more likely. To start with, I would like to briefly talk about Grim Berluxen, who I believe is the least likely to be a lord. There are a few reasons for this. Firstly, legendary lords normally have a generic version of themselves either already in the game or an opportunity for them to be added as such. Grim Berluxen however is a named Master Engineer, and a generic version of this is already in the game, but as a hero as opposed to a lord. His actual lore would also be very limited for a lord, because he is new to 8th edition, largely underdeveloped, and has a connection to only one location, Zufbar, home of the Dwarven Engineering Guild. All of this however does set him up as a potential hero for the dwarves, as ranged capabilities and the ability to buff them are beneficial for all dwarf legendary lords and armies. He does however have some thematic potential against Frot the Unclean, as two creators with opposing stances, one being a mechanic and the other being a biologist. The potential of Grim Berluxen as a lord is also eclipsed by Malachi Malexen, who while not being an 8th edition lord combines the two most popular elements of the Dowie, Slayers and Engineers. A good example of how popular these two themes are for the dwarves is in Age of Sigmar, where the dwarves have been split into the Slayer themed Fire Slayers and the Engineer themed Caradron Overlords. And Malachi Malexen, who uses both these themes, would certainly be very popular. The Dwarf 8th edition is also practically complete, with the only remaining models being a Demon and Dragon Slayer, which fit thematically with Malachi as a Slayer. That said, I don't believe Malachi would be added before Thorek Ironbrow, who is the last genuine 8th edition lord for the Dowie. Contrary to the limited situation of Grim Berluxen, Josef Bugman and Thorek Ironbrow are another matter entirely, with both having legitimate reasons to start either in Warhammer 2 or in Warhammer 3. Ironbrow is the rune lord of Krakatau, which is located in the Desolation of Agash province in the World's Edge Mountains, which conveniently puts it on the western border of the Darklands. It should be noted that the expansion of the Darklands in Mortal Empires mean that Krakatau is also located far more central than it was before. Ironbrow's main objective, like Thorgrim Grudgebearer, is the reclamation of the Dwarven Empire. However, he also has a personal interest in the acquisition of ancient relics and artifacts. This gives him a large amount of potential starting locations in both Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 3 outside of Krakatau. Some of these locations include lost dwarven holds in the Mountains of Morn, named Karak Vrag, Karak Azorn and Karak Krakatau, and also the lost dwarven hold of Karak Zorn in the Southlands. Karak Zorn was one of the original dwarf holds, and is believed to be located in the southern World's Edge Mountains. The actual story of the hold is largely similar to El Dorado, an abandoned settlement filled with riches beyond imagining, with every adventurer who has supposedly been there being unable to locate it a second time. Luckily the lore does give us a few hints as to the fate of the hold. The Lizardmen of Zlatlan are believed to have had a positive relationship with the dwarves initially, however dwarven lust for the gold of the temple cities is believed to have triggered a war. There is also speculation that the dwarves could have been destroyed by Neghekara, which yet again could have been caused by dwarven greed for gold. The cause isn't completely known or understood, but the result is. Krakatau became a lost hold, and whether it is concealed by slan magic or wiped out by its rivals is known only to the lizardmen. The only thing known for sure is that the surrounding jungles are overrun by greenskins and other fell creatures. The interesting thing is that there has actually been several in-game changes that have set up the development of Krakatau. First was the inclusion of the Nehekar and Tomb Kings to the north. Then there was the release of Tic-Tac-Toe and changes to Zatlan, and more recently there has been the inclusion of the Leafcutters Greenskin tribe in the nearby jungles as part of the Doomsday update. This means that all the factions and elements described to be near Krakatau are now in the game in their accurate locations, which could suggest its increased importance and preparation as a dwarven start location, possibly for Ironbrow. There are some other elements of in-game preparation as well. Most legendary lords have a generic lord variant of themselves, and rune lords, Ironbrow's generic lord type, are already in the game. Additionally, his possible associated unit, the runesmiths, are also in the game as a hero, so there is no other content required for Ironbrow, making him a perfect free LC lord. The only thing to point out is that he has potential in both Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 3, meaning he could easily be included in either of them. The other potential lord is everyone's favourite brewmaster, Josef Bugman. Bugman's story is a tragic one, as one day after returning from a delivery, him and his lads were ambushed by a goblin warband called the Trollbeaters, led by the amply named Git Guzzler. While he repelled the attack, he returned to his brewery to find it burned to the ground, with all its inhabitants taken and all its beverages drank. In a fury, Bugman and his rangers, as they would soon be known, salvaged what they could and set off after the goblins. Since then, Bugman's location is rarely known, however he appears to aid those fighting against his goblin foes. In fact, his wrath has now gone far beyond the goblins that attacked his brewery, and he now targets orcs, goblins, hobgoblins, and all manner of greenskins in an attempt to settle his insatiable thirst for vengeance. The first thing to mention is that their next DLC is likely to be Eltharion and Grom, which is seen as one of the greatest grudge matches in the Warhammer world. Joseph thematically would make an excellent accompanying free DLC. With the inclusion of the Leafcutters tribes in the Doomsday update, the Southlands is now the most heavily populated greenskin area of Warhammer 2, and his rangers have been sighted along the World's Edge Mountains. Furthermore, this would be an excellent opportunity to give the dwarves a horde faction based on eradicating the greenskin threat from the Warhammer world. Alternatively, he could be a hero for Ironbrow, found by fighting greenskins in the nearby area around Krakatau. While Bugman was initially a hero, he has a huge amount of potential as both a hero and a lord, and while he leads his rangers, which are already a unit in the game, he has not only been a shield bearer to Grombrindle in the end times, but also appeared to aid Thorgrim Grudgebearer. CA has also shown with Isabella, Croak and Nakai that they're okay with swapping the roles of lords and heroes if it offers greater opportunities for an enhanced gameplay experience. His potential also extends to Warhammer 3, as it is implied he crossed the World's Edge Mountains hunting down the initial goblin warband that destroyed his brewery, and it is also known that he has hunted hobgoblins, which are generally found east of the World's Edge Mountains, in the Darklands and the Eastern Steppes. The Western Darklands could also be added in the upcoming Mortal Empires update, and are known for being heavily populated by goblins of all kinds, giving Bugman another possible start location, both in Mortal Empires and in Warhammer 3. All things considered, I think that Thorek Ironbrow is still likely to be the Dwarven Lord included in Warhammer 2, as he is the only remaining 8th edition Lord. However, Bugman is also possible, as all required content for both is already in the game. Additionally, the theme of rivalries with Eltharion and Grom could mean that if the DLC is based around them, Bugman would be thematically relevant as a Avenger of sorts. Although given that Rapans came with a legendary hero in the recent update, it is possible that Ironbrow could be a lord accompanied by Bugman as a legendary hero. While Burluxon is also a hero, Ironbrow's hatred of technology make any cooperation between the two unlikely, while Bugman has good relations with all Dwarf Lords. That sadly brings us to the end of the video. It's certainly not as clear cut as the other ones, however as always there might be more content in the patch notes later this week that reveal more. If I do find anything I'll post it in the comments section below, but let me know what you think. I do read the comments and try to respond when I can. As always, thank you very much for watching and I will see you next time.